of you had questions after we first told you an accused murderer had bonded out of jail just 2 days after Wichita police say he chased down and shot a 69-year-old woman in East Wichita. It's something the Sedgwick County Sheriff says is frustrating after he says they've seen an uptick in violent offenders bonding out because local bonding companies are offering lower percentages of the entire bond. Today, a local bonding company, a state senator, and other organizations gathered to discuss bonds and other issues. Kel Chapman was there and asked your questions about lower bond percentages.
In a Saturday panel, representatives from local bonding companies, state legislators, and organizations discussed reforming the justice system when it comes to bonds and legal defense for people who can't afford it. Many of you had questions about bonding after 19-year-old Darian Boone, who's accused of murdering a 69-year-old woman, was arrested by Wichita police and then bonded out of the Sedgwick County Jail just 2 days later on a $500,000 bond. We talked with Sheriff Jeff Easter, who says he's frustrated because there has been an uptick in accused violent offenders bonding out of jail because some local bail bonding companies are offering lower percentages to bond. He says he's even seen percentages as low as 1% of the entire bond. Angel Martinez with the Wichita Bonding Company says their company did not bond Boone, but that everyone is entitled to due process.
People that are in jail, they're not guilty until they're found guilty. They have due process to go through. They're not criminals. They are people who've made mistakes, who have found themselves in a bad situation, and we're just there to help.
Martinez says Wichita Bonding Company tries to avoid bonding people out on more serious and violent crimes.
As far as the 1% downs on some of those higher profile, really bad crimes, we typically try to stay away from those things only because we don't have the information that the police have.
In Wichita, Kel Chapman, 12 News.